Good morning out there to all you styrene users and abusers. This is George coming to you from the basement annex at Kitchen Table Scale Models with my unveiling of this year's, and there's still some confusion as far as exactly what year it is, this year's USACC, United Scale Auto Content Creators Group build. Kit chosen for this year's build was the Monogram 55 Ford Pickup. Was chosen by Matthew Inman from Monocar Videos. Good choice. It's a great kit. I would recommend this kit highly for beginners if you're going to build it out of the box. If you're going to do what I did, I wouldn't recommend it for beginners. Kit gave me a lot of trouble, almost as much trouble as this video, because this is my fourth attempt. Hopefully this time it comes out okay. I typically build pretty much out of the box, not maybe a little bit of detail, a little bit of modification here and there, but nothing too complex. I just build shelf models. I want my models to look good when you're looking at them from a couple feet away on a shelf, and if I accomplish that, I'm happy. But with this one, I went a little further, did a number of minor and not so minor modifications. I used the kit wheels and tires because, well, I liked the kit wheels and tires. But that's kind of coming up from the ground. Had to do extensive chassis modifications to accept a 3D printed blown 460 Ford from Hobby Works. I'll show you that in a minute. Paint on this is Tamiya acrylic. It's a custom mix, 2:1 X6 orange to X7 red with clear gloss coat, polished with McGuire's polish and wax. Interior is done in Vallejo Model Air dark green. I mentioned that this kit's given me some problems. This is the second paint job on this car. My first paint job was an attempt to use Vallejo, which I like Vallejo paints. I've used Vallejo before successfully, and clear coated it with Cratex. I got a nice gloss. Tried that on this one, and for some reason it didn't work, and I think I know why. I think the Cratex UV paint actually went bad because I was storing it next to a light. Of course, I learned that about a year after I bought the bottle and put it on my shelf. But anyway, I digress. The engine on this, or let me step back. The body trim on this, the chrome, what would normally be chrome, has been de-chromed. The only chrome on the car, the kit wheels, and I painted the bumpers and grill with Tamiya lacquer, light gunmetal. Did some modifications to the body on this, most intentional, one not intentional, but I like the way it worked out. You can see I shaved the hood like pretty much everybody who built this kit has done. Shaved the hood, shaved the door handles. One thing I did, I said it was kind of not intentional, was as I was cleaning up the window lines to put the chrome trim on, I knocked out one of the vent window posts and decided that it looked better without vent windows. This kit, I've got a love-hate thing with this. I really like the way it turned out at the end, but there were some things about it that I should have done better, and I could have done better. One small example is when I took out the vent windows, I didn't really think it through properly, and you can see there's a small gap at the top of the interior panel that's visible from the outside of the car where the vent window normally would go. Should have filled that with a piece of styrene, but I didn't realize it was there until I painted in until I glued in the panels. Yeah, so let's take a look at this a little closer here. The engine, again, as I mentioned, was a 3D printed Ford 460 from HobbyWorks models. This was my first attempt at using a 3D printed engine. I like it. I think it opens up a world of possibilities. I'm excited about the potential of 3D printing. That said, don't look for me to get into it. I spend most of my work day sitting in front of a computer, reading documents and analyzing financial statements, and the last thing in the world I want to do is come home and sit down in front of a computer. So I'm glad there's a lot of other guys out there that do this stuff, and again, this is from HobbyWorks model. It was fun. I liked working with it. One downside for this 70-year-old plus with shaky hands is that the lack of any positive locating pins and holes made getting assembly a little tricky. One of the most time-consuming or extensive modifications on this truck was the firewall, which I smoothed, and I had to modify in order to get that engine in there. I could have done a better job on it, number one. It looks like it sits a little crooked in the chassis for some reason, and I don't know why. But in any case, the firewall was modified using a belly pan from an AMT double dragster. Also had to cut out the interior, modify that a little bit to get the engine in there. I mentioned frames. You can see it's a real tight fit. Those headers are right up against the frame, and that frame is ground down to a point where if I took it much further, it probably would snap. So not really prototypical. Same thing on the suspension. I had to remove the torsion bars from the Chrysler front suspension that they used on this thing. And in my mind, torsion bars were removed and replaced with coilovers, or I didn't have the coils. Didn't do much with the chassis again, other than modify it to get the engine in. I like what I did with the colors. The chassis is dark gunmetal. It contrasts nice against the orange. No way in the world I could get a reasonably prototypical drive shaft in there. If I had to do it over again, I think I would do a little bit more, spend a little more time on the frame to drop the suspension and get it sitting a little bit lower. Again, I like the wheels on this. I like the tires. The frame, when I first took it out of the box, was warped. I straightened it. I thought it was straight. It was straight, but for some reason the warp has seemed to come back as I've been working on this model, and it's now a three-wheeler. One thing I did add, and I really like the way this came out, was Detail Masters wood chuck bed kit. It's mahogany. It's real mahogany with photo etched bed rails, and then I hit it with multiple coats of Tamiya, I think it was TS13 lacquer. On this side, that little side vent, I just thought it looked cool, put a piece of screen in there, so I did. You can see in the interior, a little hard to see. The shifter is a resin cast Hurst shifter from Replicas and Miniatures in Maryland. Norm Weber has been around in the hobby for 100 years and was one of the original aftermarket suppliers back in the 80s and the founder of Maryland Automotive Modelers Association. The screen also came from Norm. I've been using that screen on a lot of builds lately and need to buy more next time I see him. I used it as a air cleaner screen on both my Porsche builds and my 69 Dart build. Last little touch, I guess, is the license plate, which is a little hard to see because it gets in the way of the bumper gets in the way, but the license plate actually reads, let's see if I can zoom in. There we go. The license plate actually reads USACC 23. The build was started in 2023, so I figured this is the 2023 build. Although, just finished watching Jason Hanscom's video of his release, and he doesn't know what year build this is either, but so I guess none of us really do. Getting back into the engine, paint on the engine was the light gunmetal from Tamiya. Valve covers were done with Revell Chrome, and the carbs were done with Mr. Color Red Gold, which maybe a little bit too gold for carbs. It looks better in photographs than it does in person, I think. Headers were painted with stainless steel. So that's kind of it. Again, it was a fun build. It was a challenging build, not without certain frustrations. Let me see if I can get my zoom out. Here we go. And there we go. That'll work. I enjoyed this group build a lot, although I didn't enjoy this particular. No, that's not fair. This build challenged me. I think I had a little problem getting motivated at certain times, like for the last month. I think there's a number of reasons for that, both external to modeling and because of the model itself. There's some things about this I just didn't like the way it was turning out, and I think as a result of that, it kind of caused me to lose interest. One of the things I think I really should have done different, besides dropping the frame down a little bit, is instead of using the bumpers, I think I should have gone with roll pans. The only reason I didn't do that is, as I was watching everyone's building videos, it seemed like everyone else was using roll pans, so I figured, you know what? Everybody else is using a roll pan. I'm gonna go with the bumpers. Really not sure what the concept is of this model, and I guess that's part of the reason too. I had a hard time getting motivated with it. I really didn't have a fixed image in mind of where I wanted to go with it. So, you know, what is it? Is it a street machine? Well, not really, because it's got open headers. It's not even a complete drivable machine, if you will, at this point. You know, there's no radiator hoses on it, no fan. Excuse me, no fan on the radiator. I tried to mount a resin cast electric fan I had, but it just didn't look right. So I figured, you know what, this is, I'm gonna finish it, put it on the shelf after I do my video, and enjoy it from 2 feet away, like most of my models, and get on to the next build, which is going to be a Galaxy 48 Chevy that I'm building for the Time Machine scale models, Fat Fenders. And Fat Fenders, Fins and Crumbs group build, which actually started that kit over a year ago. I got paint on the body and it kind of sat. Been working on it intermittent around this. One last note on this, chrome trim on this, on the window trim is Hasegawa. It's not bare metal foil. I like the Hasegawa trim. It's if you're looking for a custom look and you want something that really pops with chrome, it's a brighter chrome than you're going to get with bare metal foil. This was a difficult model, the bare metal foil, because, or chrome, or whatever you want to call that. It just was hard to get good brake lines between the chrome trim and the body. I removed the windshield wipers, which gave me a little bit of roughness on the window frame. You just see as it came around to get away from chrome. Well, that also knocked off the Ford emblem off the back, and flat sanded down the tailgate so it's flush. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I want to thank Matthew for and all the guys responsible for doing this group build, for doing it. I want to thank all the members of USACC for accepting this mediocre modeler into the fold. When it comes to videos, I'm not much more than an average model builder, and you know, what you see is what you get with my videos and my models. I'm happy with this. ready to get on to the next one. Build on, guys.